Sige, nakalak yan. For here lang. Okay. Yes lang.
Good morning po, dear parents. Si Miss Rachel po to, ng
Good morning po.
Good morning.
Good morning po.
Good morning po.
Medyo
Good
nagkakaroon lang po ng konting technical problem si Doc Nimfa. Inaayos lang po due to bad weather po, no? Medyo pangit po ang panahon natin, kaya medyo po ano yung signal. So inaayos lang po, please bear with us. At later po, pag naayos na po yung kanyang signal po niya, mag-start na po tayo. Thank you very much po.
Hi po.
Welcome.
Okay. And good morning once again, dear parents. So here with us this morning is our guidance counselor, Dr. Nimfa Gam. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning po.
Hi, good
morning
morning. I'm
po.
having troubles with my audio.
Good morning, Ma'am
Morning
Nimfa.
Hi, good morning po.
Morning po.
Good morning po.
Never seen you. You are better than him. If you fight him tomorrow, you're going to lose.
Yes.
Because you might find you idiot. Good morning, Doc. I think we can start na po. Pasensya na po kanina nawala ata si Teacher Rose. Hello.
Yeah,
Good morning.
all right. Will there be
Okay
no
po.
introductions or
Okay,
opening?
good morning everybody. Good morning dear parents. We're about to start. Our guest speaker for today is Dr. Nimfa Castro Gamban. She is our guidance counselor here in Holy Redeemer School of Cabuyao. And she will be the one to facilitate our seminar or parenting seminar for this morning. So yes, Doc.
All right. So thank you, Rachel. Good morning, everyone. All right. So
Morning.
apologies for a bit delay. My connection is so slow. I think this is not actually a seminar, but simply a learning session because of the time and space given to us for at least an hour. So I hope I would be able to make the most out of your 1 hour this morning. So allow me to share my screen. Right. By the way, is my voice audible? I mean, can you hear me clear?
Yes, yes, po.
Yes, Doc.
Yes
Okay.
po.
Yeah. What about my presentation?
Yes, Doc, we can see.
Can you view it? All right, good. Okay. So once again, good morning, everyone. So magandang umaga po. No? And I'm surprised that we have this number of virtual participants. No? And I hope I would be able to greet you individually, but of course, limited by the time. So allow me just to say hi, happy morning, happy raining morning to everyone. Okay. So I'm Dr. Gamban, and I've been with HRCS, Holy Redeemer School of Kabuya, for more than a year right now. So a couple of weeks ago, actually last month, I was invited again, or yeah, requested by the school to give a talk. No? And they asked me what could be a more relevant topic to discuss with you, to share with you at this point in time, no? Particularly with the generation that we have at the moment. So I told them that I think talking about at-risk students or at-risk learners or at-risk teens will be a very relevant topic to share with you. So this will be actually a freewheeling discussion. So if along the way you would like to say something, to comment something, to share your thoughts, I'll be very appreciative of that, right? So this will be our framework, no, our pathway towards our discussion. So we'll start with, I think this is in everything that we do, knowledge is very important. So we'll start with defining what is an at-risk learner and what are the warning signs that we have to look for or to watch for, to be vigilant, so that more or less we'll become aware whether our wards, our child, right, is already at risk. And then what are the potential stressors that correlate, sorry for the grammar, that correlate with or frequently lead to troubled learner or teen. And then what are their options whenever they are troubled? So what do they do? And given that situation, what help can we provide so that our troubled teens or learners would be able to bounce, to go back to shape? And then I have here to share with you some, 5 ways, or probably our parents can share their thing also, on how we can reduce learners or teens at risk. Okay, so I hope this will not be too much or too less for the next hour of our engagement. Okay, so how do we define, or what defines an at-risk teen or learner? By the way, please know that during the course of our discussion, of our presentation, we will be interchangeably using the terms learners, teens, and even children, because I know, given the context, they would mean the same, at least in our level. Okay. Given the milieu we have right now, the kind of environment we have right now, our youth, our children actually are facing more serious and critical risk than any previous generation. So actually, I'm referring to my generation. I'm a baby boomer, no? So I just turned 60. So dual citizen na po ako. I'm a senior citizen, and I would say that our generation, and probably those among us here who were born in the 60s or 70s, we had a different generation. Okay, I would say that life, at least in the Philippines during the time, is a bit I would say easier compared with what is happening at the moment. So parents are convinced that their children are likely to face certain risks, okay, or certain crises in life. Okay. So most experts will agree that violence in schools, these are some of the crises, right? Critical situations that our children, our teenagers, our learners are likely to encounter. So violence in schools, deteriorating family structure. What do I mean here? Like marital discord, okay, among their parents, or probably sibling conflicts. And then this is becoming alarming too, substance abuse, alarming media images, of course, the influence of social media right now, and gang activities, that all this will put our students, our children, our learners, our teenagers at risk. So how do we define, or what defines? So there's no single definition of an at-risk teen or an at-risk learner. So I'll be sharing with you, I think around more or less 20, right? So brace yourselves now. 20 situations or behaviors that might help you become aware whether your children are already at risk. So if a teen, if a child, if a learner is experiencing more than 4 of the following warning signs, they could be at risk. Okay. What could be number 1? Suspension, expulsion, truancy, or academic failures are being observed. So the performance, academic performance of our students could also be a warning sign. Okay. Second is verbal abuse. So if we are hearing our children being verbally aggressive, that could also be one of the possible signs. The third is if you can observe that your children are struggling with family rules, basic family expectations, like what? After class, you have to be home.
Bumaba ka kay daddy, kumain
You are
ka.
expected at this particular time. Or here in the Philippines, a basic family rule is that you have to clean your mess. So right after you wake up in the morning, you are expected to clean your bed. Okay, so these are basic family rules. Then difficulty, I think that this actually one of the basic family rules that or expectations that we are having upon our children. Okay, expected basic household chores, and of course the homework, right? The next is problems with the law, right? I think this is one serious thing to be watchful about. If children are becoming, in conflict with the law, right? So even petty crimes. Okay. And then if the parent is having a hard time or difficult time talking or speaking to their teens, that they have to edit, right? How they would tell their words, their children, something that is negative about their observation. Then, this is something related to academic situation. If your child is on the verge of dropping out from school, either because of academic failures or demotivation or disinterest in school activities. The number 8 would also be if we are observing that our children are associating with, suspect peer group, meaning friends or peers that are somehow notorious in terms of their behavior. Next would be, this is also alarming, if we also observe that our children are losing their interest in the things that they loved to do before. Okay, like what? Sports, hobbies or interests, or having time with their childhood friends. Okay. And then again, this is something serious. If we can also observe some evidence of suicide in terms of what? Suicidal ideation. So what do you mean by ideation? So they're already thinking of ending their lives or hurting themselves. Okay. Then, if we are also observing that our children are depressed, what is depression? This is actually an extreme sadness, right? That they have the tendency to withdraw from family gatherings or even spending time during dinners or whatever family activities that you do at home or even outside home, right? Um, this is actually one of the concerns right now, that we counselors are actually managing. And then, violent behavior, either verbally or physically. So violence could either be verbal or physical. Like your children are getting into troubles with their classmates and getting into a fight physically with their classmates. This is again something serious if we can see sexual promiscuity, in our teams. And then, I think this is also very conspicuous, very evidential. If we can observe that our children are no longer mindful of how they look, how they present themselves, like in terms of their appearance and the personal hygiene, taking care of themselves. And then the tendency to become deceitful and manipulative. So they would start from telling lies, white lies, and then becoming into a more serious type of lies or being untruthful or dishonest. Next is, if you have caught that your children are stealing money or personal items from the family, right? So this is also a warning sign for us. Then I think I've mentioned this earlier. If we can already observe that our children are lacking in motivation in practically everything that is related to handling their affairs, like motivation to go to school, or even the interest to to play with their friends or to share life experiences with the significant people in their lives. And then from white lies to more serious lies, like asking them what did they do after school or where did they go after school, and then they won't tell you what really the place they really visited. And then this one, if there is a display of an outburst of temper, when children became easily angered and become, verbally aggressive or even physically aggressive. All right, this is also something that is alarming. If we will be hearing our children telling you that they don't feel good about who they are, right? That they are losing the sense of self, sense of worth, sense of value as a person. Okay, so if there are words coming out from our children like this, I think this is a very serious sign that we have to be watchful about. The next is defiance of rules, regardless of the consequences. Meaning, like you told them that, all right, you've been observing that he's coming home late or she's coming home late, and then you told your child that if ever you'll be coming home late again, then you will be grounded. You won't be allowed to go out on the weekend with your friends. But despite of those consequences, still your children do something opposite of what you have told them. That could also be a sign. Then when you're trying to deal with them and you feel they don't anymore obey you, they don't anymore, you feel powerless, meaning you cannot anymore manage them, or though I don't want to use the term control, but at least if you feel that you can no longer manage your children, it's getting out of hand. This is actually another major sign. Then, yeah, I think that is related if they're having problems with authority. Okay, so as parents, one of our, I must say, powers is we have authority over our children. Next would be the teachers in school and other school officials. So if they're having problems dealing with authority, they're not being rule conscious anymore, then that could also be a warning sign. And yeah, or is if you are suspecting that your children are experimenting with drugs or alcohol. So as I've said, if you are observing that your teens, your children, right, your teenagers are experiencing more than four of the following of the signs that I've mentioned, then they could be at risk. Okay, so what could be the situations? What could be the circumstances that are considered correlated that led them to be troubled? The first one is undiagnosed learning disability. Okay, children who have difficulty responding, complying with academic requirements, initially should have problems with their ability to learn. Okay, so is it okay if I speak in Tagalog, or I need to speak because I can see,
Yes,
a non-Filipino parent here? Okay lang.
Yes.
Okay. So the undiagnosed learning ability is actually the first potential stressor why our teens, our learners will be troubled. So ano pong ibig sabihin nito? It is expected that the formative years of our children, so we speak of the psychological development, the first 7 years, yun po yung nasabi sa formative years. Experts say that the brain of a child is like a sponge. Yung po bang sponge? Na pag nilubog mo yan sa tubig, lahat ng kaya niyang kunin na tubig, makukuha niya. So ganun po ang brain ng ating mga anak. No? So lahat ng i-offer mo sa kanyang materials, circumstances, ma-absorb ng brain niya. So if you can already observe that your child is having difficulty learning the basic, baka po meron na yung developmental lag, right? However, this may be a normal scene for some children na merong delay in terms of cognitive development. Okay? Meron kasing mga bata like language development hindi nasa tamang edad. Okay? However, pag hindi po natin, if we will not be able to arrest it, that problem, cognitive problem, will accumulate hanggang sa maging disability na siya. So if you can already see some kind of parang not typical, not normal for a child, then mas maganda po na ma-refer na natin sila kaagad so that whatever issues na makita can already be addressed. Okay? So if a child is experiencing problems in learning na nasa formal classroom environment, formal learning environment na siya, the tendency is yung personal frustration will get in the way. At alam naman po natin, sa loob ng classroom, we cannot control how classmates would behave toward the child. Okay, so pag nakaramdam na siya ng negative experiences, then discouragement, disaffection will actually follow. But of course, sabi ko nga po, these are formative years. Meron pa po tayong chance to be able to help our child. So I would say that if you can observe learning disabilities or learning problems with your children, seek psychological or professional help. Okay? Meron po tayong assessment that we can do to find out the cognitive issues of our children. The second is, unhappy family life. Okay? So researches have already been conducted to correlate family life with the psychological development of children. And it is said that the family, the situation in the family, the atmosphere, the psychological atmosphere inside the family is also a predictor of at-risk behaviors. Now, I have already mentioned this. It is not about single parenting or step parenting or blended parenting. It's about attitude formation. Okay, so it will not always follow that if a child is born by a single mom or raised by a single mom, the family life is unhappy. No. Or even if the child is in a blended family, so alam niyo po kung anong blended family. Blended family is the mother has a family of her own, the father has his own, and then they live together. That's a blended family. I know it is easily said and done, but there will actually be occasions that there will be conflicts. Okay, but as I've said, managing them, it's upon the parents, the blended parents, on how they can still create a happy psychological atmosphere within the family. Within the family, children coming from two different families. So we have to be mindful of this. So again, it is not about single parenting, step parenting, or blended parenting that will cause unhappy family life. It is actually the kind of psychological atmosphere that you create inside the family. Now, the third one is the family size. All right. What do I mean by family size? No. The larger the family, the more attention that you have to create. The more kids you have, the more time and space you need to create for them to be attended to. I think that's actually a very basic, basic understanding of how family size would affect. Siyempre, kung marami kang anak, kailangan mo ma-divide yung attention mo equally. But I know it will not always be the case. Okay, so having many children, right? Having many children demands so much from us as parents. Ano yung challenge sa atin? That as much as we can, we need to provide equal time for them. But how do we do this? How do we do this? So it's not actually the time per se, but one is sure that each of our children has a special role to take in our family, that no one is left behind. So hindi natin maririnig sa ating mga anak, palagi na lang si ate o palagi na lang si bunso. Okay, so the number of children actually can be managed in terms of being mindful of how we can make them feel special by having a space for their identity. Okay? The next one is traumatic illness in the family, especially if it's a sibling. Okay? Parents, we have already experienced this, that whenever one of our children is sick or is ill, especially seriously ill, our attention is actually focused more on, obviously, expectedly, more on the sick child. Okay? So even if we provide the care, still the sick child will absorb most of the emotional, of course, financial, and the temporal resources that the family have. Okay? So, minsan marinig natin sa bata, alam ko pong hirap na po kayo gawa sa sakit ko. So, unless we make the child understand that what you're doing is for him to get well or for her to be well, we will help her also open his mind or her mind to this situation in the family, that he or she has to be well so that the family will go back to shape again, rather than leading to being troubled. Then severe moodiness and depression. Okay, moods actually are fleeting, right? Moods are fleeting, temporary. Ano pong ibig sabihin? Yung emotional state natin, yan po ay dumadaan lang, supposedly. So, may mga moment tayo, di ba, minsan pagising natin, when we wake up in the morning, ba't ba ganito pakiramdam ko? Ang baba, no? Parang tinatamad ako, parang nalulungkot ako. Okay? So, that's normal. Normal if after some time you go back to shape again. So it becomes a clinical case if the entire day, right, or in a span of time, you are depressed. So sa mga bata, pag nakita natin to, no, this can actually lead them to be troubled. And depression, which is actually related to severe moodiness, okay, is one of the issues besetting the generation right now. Okay, I don't want to relate that with how technology is impacting us, but you know what? This is what I have observed. By the way, I have 4 kids, all grown-ups, no? And then I have 3 grandchildren. I have a 15-year-old grandson, a 9-year-old granddaughter, and about a 9-month-old grandson again. I have really observed this, especially during pandemic, and even the post-pandemic when they have went back to school. The effect of gadgets, right? The effect of gadgets na nagkaroon ng wall, no, psychological wall. Dahil even during mealtime before, no, they're holding their cell phones. So we made the rule, pag kumakain, when we're eating meals, walang cell phone na katabi. And last night, just to share this with you, natuwa ako dun sa apo kong babae, my granddaughter. Si husband, may kausap siya sa phone, and then we called him, okay, we're about to have dinner. So pumunta siya kasi magpe-pray na si Liana. Hawak pa ni husband yung kanyang cellphone. So sabi nung apo ko, Papa, cellphone, bawal. Okay, so nagulantang kami. So it's actually one of the things that we have to be careful about. That whatever rule we set, be sure we follow. Diba? So although maganda rin nagkakaroon ng ganung situation because that's also a test for them whether they're able to internalize what you're saying. So yung depression actually ngayon is, I would say, created by technology. Kasi isipin nyo po, whenever they are in front of their laptops or their cell phones, sino ba ka-communicate nila? Yes, there's the friend virtually, pero nababago, no? Nababago yung psychological environment ng bata. That after na makausap na nila, hindi na nila nakita sa screen, you would see the effect on their behavior. Okay? So moodiness and depression, right? If not addressed immediately, can become a clinical problem. Next is isolated family. No, of course, for young children, unless parents are working abroad, parents are working in another country and being under the caretaker, that could also be a potential stressor. No? Although I have seen a number of my friends, no, who are working in other countries, and yet they're able to connect well with their kids. Okay, so it is very important that we create a supportive, strong support systems for our family so they don't feel isolated. Yeah, this one, peers with destructive characters and behaviors, don't underestimate their influence. Okay, so we have to really again be vigilant with the friends, the kind of people, the type of friends, the type of peers and classmates that our children are sharing life with. Now, who is at fault? Sometimes whenever we talk about this, ang tanong palagi, bakit ba nangyari? Sino ba may kasalanan? And I think at this point in time, pointing fingers usually don't accomplish much. Okay, so what does it mean? Hindi ka natin kailangan identify sino may kasalanan. Right? But the important thing is we have to identify who and what is causing today's youth to become at risk. Okay, and again, I go back to the 24 signs that we can watch or observe among our children. So this is actually a fact. No, maybe you can say some. You can comment on this. Teenagers often don't see the link between their actions today and the consequences tomorrow. Di ba po? Totoo po yan. No? Once in our lives, mga bata tayo. So, what we're doing at the moment, isa lang yung palaging tinitingnan natin. Isa lang yung importante sa atin. And what is it? We are enjoying. We feel good about what we're doing. And for children, joy, pleasure, ito yung mahalaga sa kanila.
Sige,
They
bibili tayo
don't link
bukas.
that to what will happen tomorrow or how it will create an effect to our future. Not until dumating na sila sa stage natin. Kaya nga, di ba po, tayong mga nasa edad na, ano palagi ang words natin sa ating mga anak? Alam nyo, nung bata ako, we always go back. We always link who we are now to what we did in the past. So yung mga bata, they're very young age, hindi pa nila nakikita yan, obviously. So this is actually our role to help them start realizing that there is a connection, there is a link between what they're doing, what they're experiencing, with what are going to happen, the consequences for tomorrow. And this brings me to one of my favorite psychologists, Erickson. He postulated that we go through psychosocial crisis in life, no? And I just ate, but I would just like to focus on the last one. That as we turn to the last chapter, last page of our life, eto, nasa old age na tayo. The psychosocial crisis that we have to solve is between integrity and despair. What is a sense of integrity? A sense of integrity is when you look back, when you think back, you feel good. That when you think back, when you look back, you feel good because you have accomplished something. There's that sense of fulfillment, sense of achievement. Compared with a person, when he or she looks back, a sense of despair. And accordingly, when a person is in despair, that person can only mention or utter two phrases. Ano po kaya ito? What are these two hurting phrases when you feel desperate, when you are in despair? One is only if, and if only. Sana kung, at kung sana. Why does it hurt so much? Because you can do anything and more. tapos na eh. So that's actually what the person would feel. And maybe we can share that with our children, that we don't want them to reach that point of their life. Nasasabi nila sa sarili nila na, if only I listened to my parents, only if I've been more disciplined, I've been more honest to my parents, then probably. So this is a very important part of our shaming. Helping our children realize the importance of the connection, of the link between what they're doing today and what will be the consequences tomorrow. Because sabi nga, life is a drawing that cannot be erased anymore. So what you had in the past, you cannot anymore redo it. But then you will have all the opportunities to become better. Nagkamaling man kahapon, you still have today to redraw it, right? To do better so that tomorrow the sun will be shining again. Okay. Youth experience increased freedom from parental scrutiny, and with this freedom becomes an opportunity to be involved with social and acceptable activities. So, right, I think this is actually happening right now. No? Whenever our children would declare their independence, di ba? What do I mean here? Dati, we decide, oh, ito suot mo. This is the pair of shoes that you have to wear with your dress. This is the food that we have to eat. Everything is decided upon by the parents, right? Even the school where you would like them to be enrolled. But there will come a point in time that children will declare their independence. That will start with a very simple dress or t-shirt that they would wear. Sasabihin nila, ayoko po yan, ito po ang gusto ko. And because na-realize natin, yes, they're growing up, right? They can now make their own decisions. Tumataas na yung freedom nila. Yung freedom nila. What do you mean by freedom? Yung kanilang opportunity to decide for their own, which is actually what? A good sign of parenting. Helping our children decide for their own. However, again, we should also be vigilant that this freedom, this opportunity for them to decide, will not put them at risk by doing, as we stated here, socially unacceptable activities. Okay? I'm not saying that you are raising a perfect child. No. There's no perfect child, no perfect parents. Along the way, they will err. Magkakamali sila kahit tayo magkakamali. But the point is, we become aware of those mistakes so that we will be told on what to do, they will be told on what to do, and they go back to the right track again. They will be on the road again. They also have this mindset of being indestructible and immune to problems that others experience. Di ba po, minsan marinig natin sa mga bata, kayang-kaya ko sarili ko, I can manage, tanda na, malaki na ako, I can do it myself. Hindi ako magkakasakit kahit whatever we do. So andun po yung mindset nilang ganun. Andun yung paniniwala, the belief that malaki na sila, they can take care of themselves. So again, we have to be watchful. So troubled teens or teenagers or troubled children are those whose life gotten out of control. So kumbaga nawala na sa tamang daan. Okay. So they may be using drugs and alcohol. They may be getting into trouble with the law by stealing or vandalizing. So we've been hearing cases like this, no, mga simple vandalism cases to a more serious type or stealing. Then they may be allowing a boyfriend or someone else to abuse them and not know which way to run. Okay, so actually I'm referring to the teens right now. Okay, so those who enter at a very young age into an abusive relationship. All right, so troubled teens, troubled children, or troubled child is any teenager, any child, any learner who is involved in things that can ruin their life or even end it. She or he may not even realize what shape she or he is in and that she needs help. Okay? So, what is my point here? Whenever we are convinced, no, we have realized that our children are in trouble or at risk, don't forget to ask help. Yun lang po. Napakasimple lang. If you think that you cannot do it alone, and usually if it's already psychological, right, or emotional, you would need professional help. So sa school po natin, meron tayong guidance office who can help you. If the situation is no longer manageable, we can get into a referral system to another professional helper. So my point here is, if you have observed that your child, your teenager is troubled, is at risk, isa lang po, don't hesitate to ask help, to ask support. Whenever a teenager or a child is untroubled, is troubled, these are the things that they opt to do. Okay? They run away, they use alcohol or abuse alcohol, so with drugs, they become violent, they got into depression, and the worst, they would end their life. Okay? So, of course, as parents, as lolas, as lolos, we never wanted this to be an option for our child, for our teenager. Okay? That when they feel troubled, they would run away from home. That when they feel troubled, they would use or abuse alcohol and use drugs, become violent, feel depressed, and ultimately would end their lives. In my years of counseling way back in my former school, I have already had cases of perfected suicides, right? And it was really, a tough experience for me, because I know I know the reason. One, fired a gun in his head. Then one is strangled himself using a telephone wire. So these are very draining, emotionally and mentally draining situations. How much more for the family? So the case of suicide here in the Philippines is actually, according to researchers, is rising. Okay, the depression experienced by children, by teenagers. That's why we are actually advocating for support in school, support in the family, and be watchful, be vigilant. Vigilant, observant, a keen observer of the behaviors of our children. Okay. I'd like to skip this one in the interest of time. Can you see my screen?
Hindi ka magugutom?
Opo.
Yes, Doc.
Sorry, I can. Sorry, I wasn't able to read your messages, no. Allow me to read this because I feel good about this one. So, sabi ni Dads Ventura, no, Doc, it's okay for me to discuss this in English. Yeah. But most of us actually appreciate the seminar use our own language. Kung pwede lang po. Sorry, ngayon ko lang nabasa po. So, pwede po Tagalog. The reason why I asked it kanina kasi po I seen someone na sponge will absorb. All right. Okay. I agree po, ma'am. I am in a blended or combined family. Yeah. My son is diagnosed with global developmental delay po or with ADHD and full support naman po kami sa kanya. Grade 7 na po siya. Very good. Kaya lang po yung comprehension skills niya po talaga ang pinaka-focus. Okay. Yeah. As long as we have the support, the child will be able to manage. Doc, parang hindi ka paniwala na senior na po at may apo na kayo. Salamat po, Dads. Then, saying po namin, may rules po kaming, anong rules ko po sinusunod ko din. Very good. Kasi kailangan firm po tayo sa kanila. Yeah, pag nagbigay ng rules, yes. The term is actually have to be consistent. No? Consistent in implementing our rules. So, according to Dads, I agree with that, Doc. Sometimes it is the parents' fault. They were looking their achievements from their children, no acceptance, or they miss to appreciate what their children did. That was really their last option. They decided to end their life. And this is a big problem at UPLP. Okay. Yeah, thank you for those affirmations, no, for those comments. Yes, Mami Noreen Galera. You're raising your hand. Yeah. Noreen. So how would I turn it? Your hand is raised. You would like to say something? Yeah. So while waiting for Mami Noren, let me continue. So teen depression, being a parent of a teenager, then we're likely already aware of many dangers of depression. Yeah, I think this is, wait lang, I'm working on my.
Regarding po dun sa ma'am, we are implementing rules and guidelines pagdating po sa paglabas at saka pag-uwi po. May dapat pong oras para nalalaman din po namin yung mga
Yes, oo. Tama talaga, dapat we have rules to follow. And the thing, pag may rules, ang requirement po dyan is consistent implementation. Yes. Okay. So, teen depression is a pretty common occurrence and it can affect anyone. Okay. So, what are the symptoms? Frequent sadness. So, lagi na lang siyang malungkot. Kahit walang dahilan, malungkot yung bata. Crying, often for no reason. Bigla na lang hagulgol. No? Bigla na lang siyang iiyak. Withdrawal. What is withdrawal? They get rid of the activities, kahit sa family or even sa school. They would like to be just alone by themselves. Then refusal to eat or overeating. No? So it's either way. Ayaw kumain or sobra naman sa pagkain. Then feelings of hopelessness. So pagka na may failure, feeling nila hindi na siya masusolve. Right? Then they talk of death or suicide. May suicidal ideation. No? So may mga images na. Or same thing with obsession with death or suicide. Okay. So the teen years are hard for anyone, and with pressures from friends, school, and parents, it can sometimes get to be too much. Okay. Psychological development po natin. It is said that the adolescent period, right? The adolescent period. So basta nag-teen na yung age, no? 13, basta yung 12 hanggang 19. Ito daw yung sasabing difficult age, difficult stage of life. Kasi ang number one developmental task ng bata is developing that sense of identity. Sino ba ako? Ano ba ako? Right? So, if the child is not supported, helped in in becoming clarified about his sense or her sense of identity, doon nagkakaroon ng problema. Right? So nagkakaroon sila ng mga decisions, ng mga actions that will actually put them at risk. Okay. May mga pressures come from peer pressure, parents' pressure, and even academic pressure. Now, ang masama po is if this is combined with drugs or alcohol, it's a very good recipe for depression. So a depressed teen may have problems at home or get picked on at school. Ito po dapat watchful din po tayo. No? Minsan ang mga anak natin hindi nagkukwento kung anong naranasan sa eskwelahan. I would like to refer to the term bullying. Right? So, ngayon po, iba na ang impact sa bata. Nung time natin, no, di ba? We've been picked on in one way or another, di ba? We've been bullied. Pero nakakatuwa, we're able to handle it well, manage it well, no? So siguro po, iba yung ating how do I term it? How we were made up by our parents. Pero ngayon, ang laki po ng effect sa bata pag siya ay nabully sa school. So dapat po yung simple na negative experience ng ating mga anak sa eskwelahan, they should feel freely na ikwento sa inyo. Pero may word of caution po ako doon. If you open that avenue, no, for your child to make kwento about the negative experience sa school, dapat po yung ating response ay appropriate, productive in a sense, constructive. What do I mean here? Una po, pag nagkwento po ang ating mga anak, huwag po tayong reactionary. Huwag po tayong react agad. No? Kasi po, iba ang magiging effect nan sa bata. It's either mag-shut off si bata or hindi niya ma-handle it healthier or productively. So what I'm saying now is ang first reaction po natin whenever our child would tell us what happened in school is listen. Pakinggan muna po natin and be sure that you have understood well the situation. You should be clarified, no? Dapat po klaro sa inyo kung anong nangyari. And the first thing that you have to do is to help our child understand what happened, to understand the situation, to understand himself. Okay? So, napakahalaga po ng first responder, sabi nga, sa bullying. Pag ang bata ay nagsumbong o nagkwento sa atin na siya ay nabully. Our first response is very important. Okay? So sometimes depression may come from another problem such as eating disorder, addiction, or a medical condition. So sa medical condition, yung mga batang may sakit, no? May mga serious illness. Although, ang nakakatuwa po, no? May mga nice stories, no? Happy stories na yung mga batang, say, may mga terminal illness, sila pa'y nagbibigay ng strength sa parents, di ba? Sila pa'y nagbibigay ng emotional strength sa parents by what? By telling the parents, I'm okay, I'm good, don't worry. Okay, so we have to be also mindful of this. Then some teens just need to eat a better diet and get more rest. Okay.
Oh, yan na.
So what help can we provide, no? For teens who are depressed? Teen depression should not be treated the same as depression in adults. Okay? Kasi po minsan, depressed yung bata, pero actually ang kailangan lang ay attention. Alright? So sometimes teens would want attention from the family, from the parents. So iba po pag ang depression ay nangyayari sa isang adult. Okay, so we shouldn't treat them equally. Second is, depression involves knowing what is causing the depression and counseling. So pag an initial sense, nakita nyo ang bata is manifesting depression, right? Ask the counselor, no? Ask the counselor to attend and do some kind of facilitation process, no? I-process po natin yung bata para maintindihan niya kung ano yung nangyayari sa kanya. Okay, this is very important. Getting to the root of the problem is often all it takes to help a teen with depression. The question is, why? Mag-why analysis po tayo. Tanungin po natin bakit, anong nararamdaman mo? Pag sumagot siya, bakit, until finally, naintindihan po natin at naintindihan ng bata bakit siya nadidepress. So this is actually the most important part of managing depression. Dapat alam natin the root cause. Ano yung dahilan? Bakit ka nadidepress? So as a parent of a depressed teen, it is important that we try to understand our teen. Sabi ko nga po, listen to him or her and try not to be accusing. Yung simpleng salitang, kasi ikaw. Yan. Kahit tayo pong mga Tagalog, malimit nating gamitin yung term na kasi. Actually, when we use the term kasi, we're pointing our finger against or toward the person. And try to respect our teens' opinions and problems and not try to blame ourselves. Ayan, no? So, as we don't want to point finger to other people, to our teens, wag din po sa atin. Okay? Especially kasi when we start blaming ourselves, we are not anymore helping. Tandaan niyo po yan. When we start blaming ourselves, we are not anymore helping our child. Okay? Then we need to understand that being a teenager is hard and our child is justified in their feelings, even if we may not agree or understand. Okay? Sabi nga po no one can ever question what we are feeling. Wala pong pwedeng i-question ang nararamdaman natin. Bakit po? Kasi kanya-kanya po tayo ng perception. Kanya-kanya po tayo ng interpretation. Kanya-kanya po tayo ng pagbibigay ng kahulugan sa mga nakikita natin at sa nararamdaman natin. And it's only then when we get to explain that we understand. And I always believe in this continuum. Let me just share with you. Anything that we don't know, we can never understand. And because we don't understand, we can accept and appreciate. So ano po yung bottom line dito? Ano yung foundation? Knowledge. Pag hindi natin alam, hindi natin maintindihan. Dahil hindi natin maintindihan, hindi natin matanggap. At hindi natin ma-appreciate. Okay? So when we realize this, we can help our child, right? And remember to give lots of love and support and encouragement. LSE, love, support, and encouragement. Yeah.
Please.
So being a parent of a teenager, we know that there are many things out there to be concerned with. Nako, pinagdaanan ko po yun sa aking 4 na anak at ngayon sa aking apo. No? And thanks God, we're doing well. We worry about drugs and alcohol, depression, sex, grades, college, and a whole list of other things when it comes to our child. But don't be too hard on yourselves. Sabi nga, we can't give what we don't have. So kung tayo hindi buo sa sarili natin, mahirapan tayong bigyan ng LSE ang ating anak. Love, support, and encouragement. But we likely already know that teen suicide statistics and the unfortunate reality that many teens see no other way out. Ito po yung isang malungkot. So suicide attempts are a way to get attention from a world they think is overlooking them. It's a way of saying, look at me, I need your help. So we We should always take teen suicide attempts or threats seriously and do whatever it takes to help our child. Kasi po, hindi po yan ordinaryong sitwasyon. No? However, mindful din po tayo, vigilant din tayo kasi baka gagamitin yan for manipulation purposes. Okay, so nagiging manipulative na yung bata. So if you have reason to suspect our teenager might be depressed or suicidal, we need to act quickly. Okay, so kailangan po tayong mag-respond. JIT, just in time. So teen suicide prevention involves knowing what actually causes. So dapat alam po natin yung root cause so that we can attend to it, address it accordingly. So the most important way to prevent is to try to keep the teen busy, occupied. The most important thing, make them feel worthy. Raise natin yung self-esteem nila, yung sense of worth nila. Okay? Bakit po? Kasi kung ang bata, mataas ang pagpapahalaga sa sarili, hindi niya yan sasaktan. Kahit tayong mga adults, kung mataas ang pagpapahalaga natin sa ating sarili, hindi natin siya sasaktan. So, ganun din po ang bata. So, self-esteem boosters are very important. Okay? So, help our children develop this sense of value, this sense of worth. Self-esteem is the feeling that we value ourselves. So if you feel your teen is depressed or considering suicide, you need to get them help. Yeah, help your child, talk to someone, take your child to a doctor, somehow get professional help. Okay? Although alam natin may stigma palagi, don't think of that one. Ang importante is may makausap ang bata na tamang tao. You may also need to be sure if you have suicidal teen, you do not leave anything around and anything out and around that the teen would be tempted to use, such as what? Guns and other weapons and pills and medication. So pagka ganito po, although ito na nasa sitwasyon na po kayo, no? Sasabihin naman ng inyong professionals, helper, kung anong dapat gawin. So you should not leave a suicidal teen home alone. I had this experience with my former student. So nag-iisa siya sa bahay, pumunta sa palengke, yung nanay at saka kapatid niya. When her mother and sister got back, nakita na siya hanging low on the roof. Okay? And before he hanged himself using the telephone wire, uminom muna siya ng Baygon. So talagang andun, no? Sabi kasi po, ang suicide is that feeling when a person commits suicide, he experienced the lowest point of his life. So try to connect with your teen and help them through their darkness. Kasi ito na yung darkest part of their soul when the person is thinking of committing suicide. So be sensitive to the stress in your children's lives and help them cope. Sana ma-avoid po natin yung mga salitang, ganyan lang talaga yan, hayaan mo lang, simple lang yan, kaya mo. So, then understand when and why your children are bored and help relieve their boredom. Lalo yung mga bata po ngayon. No? Then limit the amount of money your children have to spend and monitor how that money is spent. Let me share with you po, with my apo. No? Nakatuwa po yan. Pag humingi yan ng pera sa akin, pagbaon, may activity sa school. So, bibigyan ko siya. Halimbawa ay 500. Sabi niya, Mama, 300 lang. Sabi ko, bakit 300? Kumbaga, kung ibang bata, kukunin na niya yung 500. Pero talagang pipilitin niya, Mama, 300. Siya pa yung magagalit sa akin. 300. Sabi ko, okay, sige, ito yung 300. Actually, hindi niya gagamitin yun. Itatago niya. Kasi may wallet siya. Okay? So, although ngayon, pag nagpapaalam, Mama, punta po kami ng, kakain lang po kami. Sabi ko, may pera ka. Mama, babawas po ako dun sa wallet ko. Okay. So the thing is, give them this independence, no? Independent thinking. At the same time, you support them and monitor them. No? Yung monitoring napakahalaga po. Know who your children's friends are. Napakahalaga ngayon. Napakahalaga po. Please take note of this. Dapat alam nyo sino, saan pupunta ang mga anak nyo kasama ang kaibigan. Be engaged in your children's lives. Help them with their homework, attend their sports events, participate in activities together, and talk to them about drugs. Ito. Bakit kailangan pag-usapan? Kasi po, right information na makukuha nyo sa kanila, ang maibibigay nyo sa kanya. First-hand information. So, when time comes na ma-open sa kanya yan, ang sasabihin ng bata, hindi, sabi ng mami ko, sabi ng daddy ko, ganito yan. Right? So, may reference na siya na tama. Okay? Rather than getting the first information from the wrong person. Mas maganda po makuha ang first information from the right person. And who will be the right person? The parents, the family, the teachers, okay, the school. So recognize that behind this mask of defiance or hostility, our child is hurting. Keep reaffirming our love for our children. So, thank you so much, and I hope. Sorry for the overtime, and may nakita po ulit akong chats here. Basahin ko lang po ha. I hope. Sorry po, need to drop na po for work meeting. Thank you po. Good day, Doc. I'm Irvin. Yeah, how do I effectively convince my daughter that doing basic household chores is really part of our routines as human? Thanks. Okay. Sorry, Teacher Rose. Is it okay if I'm already entertaining questions na?
Yes po.
Okay na ba? Yeah, I'm reading the chats already. Na-excite ako. Sorry, I didn't wait for you anymore. Anyway, so yeah. Irvin, do not sound like it is an imposition. Kasi ang bata, pag ang pakiramdam niya is it's something that is forced onto them, ang tendency palagi is resistance. No? What I'm saying is, don't use the term na don't make the daughter feel na obligasyon niya yon, no? But rather make your daughter realize that this will be part of her developing well, growing up well. Okay? So don't use the term na routine natin yan bilang isang tao. No, don't use that. Kumbaga, use words that will encourage them in terms of making them become a whole person, a better person. Okay? So siguro i-rethink natin, no, how we will encourage. Yung ang term natin dapat is encouragement, not forcing our daughter, no, to do something, but encourage them to help in the family chores kasi yan will contribute to their growth and development as a person. Ma'am, is there a category of bullying, yung simpleng panginilit? What's that? I'll stop sharing na para mapasok mo sa pamimilit pong, wala, sorry. Okay. Pamimilit pong manghingi ng bata and sabihin hindi na kayo friend can be considered bullying po ba? Alright. Ito kasi yung mga petty comms, no? Petty communication ng mga bata. Siguro, if it becomes a pattern, no, already, actually kahit nga sa initial sense at nakita na ng teacher, dapat to ma-address na agad eh. Kasi pagka humingi ang bata, no, unless it is being shared, right, magiging habit ng isang bata yun na manghingi. And then pag nakita ng batang yun nang hingi na medyo may power siya over that person, very likely it will turn out to become a bullying behavior. So kasi you see, ang bully kasi, right, ang isang characteristic niya is feeling niya may power siya over the person. Over the person in terms of siguro physique, no? In terms of yung advantages na nakikita niya over other child. Okay? So pamimilit ng batang mangingi sa klase at sabihin hindi na kayo friend, yun, oo. Actually, naririnig din kasi ng mga bata yan sa ibang matatanda di ba? Although nag-iiba lang yung context, right? So whenever narinig nyo ito sa anak ninyo, siguro turuan natin si baby, yung ating anak natin, kung paano sasagot. Right? Now, kung yan ay magiging palagi, well, sabi ko nga po, it might lead to a bullying behavior. So comfort is the big answer for them to solve depression. Yes, psychological comfort, feeling that they're comfortable being themselves. Love soup, yeah, and LSE, right? That's the key, LSE. Ang laki naman ng baon doon. Ay, hindi po. Ano lang yun, pag may activity lang po yun. And then, kasi po ngayon, ang ginagawa po namin is, in daughter-in-law ko, nagdadala na po sila ng lunch. So wala na po silang baon na pera. Kasi grade 10 na po siya. So their kids are happy child at home while opposite at school because of some kids who are stronger personality and make the other kids feel less. Okay. Well, bakit po nagkakaganon? No? Supposedly po, kung ano po